There are hundreds of fighting games, but did you know that Jurassic Park had its own officially licensed fighting game on the PlayStation 1? I played it as a kid, and after replaying it now as an adult, I just can't believe this game actually exists. Greetings fellow gamers, welcome to the Dungeon Rings channel, where if we don't move, you can't see us. Is there a dinosaur behind me? I'm gonna put a dinosaur behind me. Developed by Black Ops Entertainment and DreamWorks Interactive, and published by EA, Jurassic Park Warpath, or Warpath Jurassic Park, hit the shelves on November 17th, 1999 for the original PlayStation. It's a fighting game featuring, you guessed it, dinosaurs. You start with 8 playable dinosaurs and you unlock more as you fight through the arcade mode. The game has all the features of a fighting game. It's got unique arenas and movesets for each dinosaur, cool cutscenes, and each dinosaur sort of has its home arena, and we'll touch more on all of this later. Let's just have a quick look at the late 90s, early 2000s fighting game scene so that we can understand the context that Warpath fits into, because trust me, it makes it even more impressive. So fighting games are typically arena-style 1v1 games where, there's a huge emphasis on the mechanics and combos, etc. Games that may be 2D where you just kind of go across a stage and you fight a bunch of random people, those are like beat-em-ups. That's not what we're talking about here. The genre was actually influenced by old martial arts movies, like Bruce Lee and any other old martial arts actor. I don't know anyone else but Bruce Lee. I think we all know which iconic fighting game character was inspired by my homie Bruce. You guessed it. Joker from Injustice. No. It was Liu Kang. Stupid joke. Moving on. The earliest notable fighting game seems to be Sega's Heavyweight Champ from 1976. That is an old video game. Although it's a boxing game, it sort of set the seed for the fighting game tree that would bear delicious fruit in the future. Then came Karate Champ in 1984, and that sort of, elevated the genre even more, bringing the best of 3 round system and timers and stuff like that. And then after that, Street Fighter 1 and 2 set even newer standards for the genre. And on the flip side, Soul Calibur was also released in 1998. That was the second installment in the Soul Calibur franchise, by the way. The first game is called Soul Edge. I don't know why they changed it. Someone will tell me in the comments, I'm sure. But the first game, Soul Edge, brought cool, weapon-based combat and what they called an 8-way track, an 8-way run. Let me consult my script. Yeah, an 8-way run where it's basically just omnidirectional movement instead of just fighting on a 2D plane, which at the time was probably like... It had been done in 1993 by a game called Virtua Fighter, but then Soul Calibur bringing in excellent graphics and, really, really, really cool character design and stuff. I feel like it probably just elevated it even more. I know everybody hates critics. I think their opinion should be taken with a large pinch of salt, yada yada, especially for video games. But just to hammer it home, Soul Calibur received a 10 out of 10 from IGN. This is when IGN was actually respected, and it's Metacritic's second best game of all time, behind the Ocarina of Time, which I personally am not even the biggest fan of. I mean, that has to count for something, right? From the way that we've been talking, it's probably safe to assume that if you were a fighting game released in the late 90s, early 2000s, you were pretty destined to be a good game. I mean, Tekken, Soul Calibur, Street Fighter, Smash Bros was released in 99. It's ridiculous, the pedigree. I just wanted to hammer it home because if you've come into this video expecting Warpath to be like this, golden game, that was silly of you. You should have assumed it wasn't going to be that. It didn't receive any love from critics. People called the controls clunky. They said that the dinosaur scale was completely fucked up, which it is. There are so many harsh and pretty funny reviews of Warpath, and I read them in the Patreon cut of this video, which you can see in the link in the description. It's only $3 or something. And get this, the concept of a fighting game where you play as dinosaurs wasn't even unique to the time. In 1994, a game called Primal Rage came out, and that had great reviews. The only bad reviews I could find were people were criticizing the ports of the game, and they said they're all lazy and stuff. I was kind of disappointed, because I wanted to find bad reviews of the game, because it's literally a dinosaur fighting game. How many dinosaur fighting games are there? So, it looks like Warpath Jurassic Park for the PlayStation 1 was destined to slip into obscurity. So before that happens, I want to put out a video there talking about the cool stuff about this game. Because yes, there is some really cool stuff. And if all these incredible games weren't coming out at the same time, it would have been considered by the public probably a much better game. First of all, the coolest thing about dinosaurs is that they are the Earth's real-life version of mythical creatures. And learning about them makes you smart. And to complement this even further, I would say that, deep lore isn't the reason someone's playing a fighting game. It's the mechanics and the challenge and arcade modes, etc. And just the, I'm playing a fighting game. But, like I said, dinosaurs are real. And Warpath has this really cool function called a museum mode, where you can look at the roster of dinosaurs you can play and learn about them as actual dinosaurs.
Welcome to the Jurassic Park Dinosaur Gallery.
The museum mode doesn't aid the Jurassic Park world, it aids the real world. It gives actual measurements and statistics as to what? It gives actual measurements and statistics of the dinosaurs, like what period they were from, and facts about them, and, you know, their sort of genealogical tree as a dinosaur. I just think that shows a certain amount of love, you know, in the creation of this game, when all the developers really have to do would make another sloppy movie tie-in game. The Jurassic Park franchise as well, at this point already, not known for its good movie tie-in games. It's known for its bad movie tie-in games. Spoiler alert. Like, in the 90s, people probably didn't think that was interesting. Like, in Soul Calibur, you had fucking, what's that character's name? Voldo? That sexual freak in the lingerie with the claw fingers? Why would you play the dinosaur learning game when you can play the sexual freak Voldo? You know? I'm gonna put in a slap sound. Where this game also shines is in the art direction. Yes, graphics of the dinosaurs were good for the time. The backgrounds were really, really, really bad. But I don't know what these critics were smoking when they say that it feels clunky. It feels so fucking good. Yes, the scale of the dinosaurs from one to another is bad. I'll give the critics that. But they're just jammed in this pretty small feeling arena, and it gives the sense that you are a massive dinosaur. The grabs especially, like I was playing the T-Rex in the arcade mode, and he has this grab where he grabs the neck and he rolls and the dinosaur like jerks and rolls over it, and you can feel the weight of these snapping and jerking giant bodies. It's awesome. I think that, like, if you're making a dinosaur game, you have to feel like you're as big as a dinosaur. Also, as the Triceratops, if you're on the ground and you're fighting a Triceratops, it can fucking full on start shanking you with its horn. And I played some of this game's competitors on the Patreon cut, and the other games don't really have this weighty, real feeling. And I don't think that's not a criticism towards those other games, it's just a stylistic thing. Probably 2D and 3D is the biggest thing, because, like, I was playing Soul Calibur, and a lot of the grabs have the same weighty feel, and a lot of the 2D games kind of have the same... And don't get me wrong, there's a little bit of that in Warpath as well. I was pleased to see that Primal Rage didn't have this weighty, awesome feeling. It had the same... So that is a genuine positive of Warpath, which is impressive because, like I said, all the great games coming out alongside it. Another thing in Warpath are the sort of random occurrences in the arenas and, you know, the arena interaction. Again, I know this is not a new concept. You've been able to do the uppercut into the spikes fatality in Mortal Kombat forever, but I don't know, there's just something cool about Warpath's version. From the first movie, there's the electrified fence. That's a map as well, and you can push the enemy dinosaur into the electric fence. It's cool that they put that in the game, but yes, I understand it's not new. What I don't know if it's a new concept, but it is something I couldn't find in any of its competitors. Again, feel free to correct me in the comments. In almost every map, there are little, like, it'll either be like a little guy, little handler running along, or a little, like, you know, the tiny green dinosaur, Pachymimus or whatever, like that little guy, and you can eat them and regain health. I couldn't even find a fighting game, you know, before the turn of the century besides Smash Bros, where you could pick up items and they would heal you, or they'd give you different effects and stuff. Obviously, the ones in Warpath only heal you. I know in Soul Edge you could pick up weapons and stuff, but that's not really the same thing, you know what I mean? That actually might be, you know, one of the only things they did that was, like, properly a new thing, and that no other competitor was doing. I know that's not enough to make the game good, or to make the game as good as its competitors, but still, it's pretty cool. Like I said, the game is a good game, and had it not been released in a very competitive fighting game scene at the time, it might even be considered a really great game. And I know that it might not be remembered by the masses, but I just couldn't sit idly by and let it be forgotten. So this video is my contribution to that. It seems like through my research, DreamWorks Interactive did a lot of the Jurassic Park video games. So maybe it was Black Ops Entertainment who were, like, pushing the passion for this game, and if that's the case, I commend you. Again, not something I researched incredibly thoroughly. Well, there you go. I'm not going to tell you to go play the game. If you want to, go for it. At the very least, you'll get some laughs from the wacky parts of the game. But like I said, I had to do my piece. Now go Warpath Jurassic Park for the PlayStation 1 into the annals of my YouTube channel forever. And you, go to the Patreon. It's a great way to support me, lots of extra content, and it's very cheap. If you don't want to spend any money, join for free. Sometimes I put stuff there for the free joiners. And if you don't want to do that, at least subscribe. Alright, goodbye now. I'll see you later. This is Dunyan Rings. I'm dressed as a handler, I guess, a dinosaur handler. Signing off, goodbye.